So you've got to go there. Go to the Bongino Report channel. That's where you can watch this show. Make sure that you're subscribed, of course. If you want to listen later on, you can do that. If you want to listen on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, you can do that too. Whenever you want, obviously, the live show is here. And then like about an hour later, you can go listen on those podcast platforms. I know a lot of people listen in the car or they can't, join at night. I totally get it. They listen in the morning. Whenever you listen, I appreciate you. So make sure that you go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Make sure you're subscribed so that you never miss a show. And I've got a big show on deck for you tonight. Harvard has gone full retard, investigating its own ties to slavery until they realized just how many past university staff members and leaders once owned slaves. Then it became too expensive for them to keep researching, aka it made them look really bad. So abort mission. Then California Governor Gavin Newsom's office called Marines a creep. This is a creep operation. They're saying that everyone on the border, all the Marines that are on the border, this is just part of a larger scheme. They're planning something else. They have ulterior motives. Meanwhile, they're just trying to keep the country safe and secure our borders. Imagine that. So Gavin Newsom's probably projecting. Then Alligator Alcatraz is open for business. President Trump visited earlier today. I thought it was going to be 1,000 beds, 3,000 beds for illegal migrants. This is incredible. We're going to talk about that. Plus, famous New York City socialists, Zohran Mamdani and AOC, they don't want you to know how rich they actually grew up with silver spoons in their mouths because it's not good for their brand. Then the Trump-Musk beef has been reignited today with the president maybe considering deporting his ex-best friend. And plus, a dating-themed scrolling time that will make you very grateful if you're not single. I've got comedian Bobby Sauce on deck to react to it all. Nightly Scroll starts now. Like I said, Harvard is now researching their ties to slavery. They've been doing it for a few years now. This all started, 2020, all the racial stuff happened, all the George Floyd stuff happened, and everyone, all these woke institutions, organizations, corporations, they had to prove to everyone that they weren't racist. And then if they knew that they were racist, they had to make it up somehow. And Harvard falls into that camp. So they were researching their own ties to slavery. And they're committed, or they have been committed, to conducting genealogical research to identify living descendants of the slave owners who were related to the Harvard community, whether they were staff members, leaders, professors, whoever. Why you'd want to dig into this, I don't know. It certainly backfired for them. So here's the headline out of The Guardian. Harvard hired a researcher to uncover its ties to slavery. He says the results cost him his job. We found too many slaves. That's the problem. So this announcement that Harvard made that they were going to investigate all their, racism and ties to slavery, this was accompanied by a $100 million endowment. And they hired a researcher to look into whoever these slaves were who were tied to Harvard. So he had been working for the past 3 years. He had identified in the first, few days, few months, he found 70. Then he's been doing this since 2022. So by now, he's identified more than 900 people who have been enslaved by university affiliates, whether, like I said, if that's leadership, faculty, staff, whatever. So he goes to them and says, I found more than 900 enslaved people related to Harvard in some way. I need more money. There's more to be done. So he asked to have a meeting with higher ups at Harvard, and they essentially told him, don't find too many slaves. Like, we want you to do this, but don't do too much. Not too much on my girl. We don't want to look too bad. So this researcher who was hired said, are you afraid that I've found too many descendants? They said, it'll bankrupt the university if we find too many. To which the researcher said, that's insane. Do you want me to falsify this evidence? Do you want me to destroy it? Do you want me to ignore it? And Harvard basically gave a non-answer, but said, whatever you find, we just don't want to report it all. Of course. It's hilarious. They said, unfortunately, you keep finding more slaves. And to that, they said every new person that he finds is a source of guilt and shame for Harvard. But they're the ones that started this whole mess. They're the ones who wanted this investigated. So, they're biting themselves in the butt. So anyway, this researcher gets a call from HR at Harvard, and they say, effective immediately, you and your team, you're no longer needed. Because, of course, he found way too many slaves associated with Harvard and their staff. And they thought, this is not only a bad look for us, but we can't afford, we're paying for our own demise here. This is just hilarious. Am I the only person who thinks this is so funny? So this researcher who was fired thinks that the reason he was fired is that they found too many slaves. And again, that's just what he was hired to do. But he's saying that now he's fired, there's more work to be done. He said that this was just the tip of the iceberg. He had found more than 900, but he suspects that there are more than 10,000 enslaved people because of Harvard faculty and staff in the past. Just insane. And so since this whole initiative has started, Harvard has given out more than $4 million in grants to HBCUs and other local organizations. And of course now, they're bankrupt because of it. So this is how DEI and other commitments to woke backfire. When you have to financially back your virtue signals, all of a sudden, virtue signaling, not that important anymore. It's one thing for Harvard to come out and say, look at us, we're investigating our ties to slavery, we're calling ourselves out, we're holding ourselves accountable. Then they find out just how bad it really is, just how tied to slavery they really were. All of a sudden, they're like, this is pretty embarrassing for us. It doesn't make us look good at all. And it's costing us more money to dig up more dirt on ourselves. So this project is legitimately just Harvard digging its own grave. But it just goes to show that these companies that pledge whatever to whatever cause, they don't care about anything but looking good and not losing money. I just wish liberals would wake up one day and realize that. It also goes to show how reparation payments, if implemented anywhere, would completely decimate the economy. And I'm not advocating for free stuff, by the way, because none of this works. But it's not like giving people free health care that could actually improve lives. This is just giving people taxpayer dollars for injustices of the past that were never experienced by the people getting paid, and it's paid for by people who never did anything wrong. Nobody living today is complicit in the American slave trade, and nobody currently is a victim of it, although these people would love to believe that they are still victims. And what was Harvard going to do with this research anyway? Reach out to all these descendants and say sorry? Give them tuition? Let them get an education at Harvard where they would just make some DEI statement, some oopsie daisy? The whole thing is a freaking scam. Now, can we get an update on Diddy? Have they said anything so far? Guys? Hello? Any update on Diddy? Nope? Okay. I just want to make sure that
from what we see,
the research that I have right here is the latest. So it's the second day of the jury deliberations in the Diddy trial. Multiple notes from the jury. Let's watch this video from Court TV. This is one of the notes earlier today about juror number 25 not complying. Watch this.
It says, we have a juror number 25, who we are concerned cannot follow your Honor's instructions. The foreperson then asked to speak with the judge or that particular juror be interviewed. So what do we know about juror number 25? We know he's male. We know he is a scientist. We know that during the jury selection process that he had told both sides that he had seen that hotel video in which Sean Diddy Combs is seen assaulting Cassie Ventura. This is inside the Intercontinental Hotel in Los Angeles. He had said that he did see that video, and he also said, Julia, that he had formed an opinion about that particular video. But then he was very clear that he was able to set his opinion aside to be able to go forward and have a fair, impartial look at this entire case. But now we're having a situation where this same juror now, according to the note that was just sent out, is not following those instructions.
All right, so maybe they have to bring in an alternate juror if this juror 25 can't be impartial, but it seems like they've come to a conclusion, a verdict on 4 out of the 5 counts. So some experts are saying that this juror 25 issue could have been avoided if the jury was sequestered during this 7-week trial, to which I say doesn't matter because this video of Diddy beating Cassie to hell and back went massively viral before the trial started. It is quite difficult for humans to be, memory holing videos like that and be completely unbiased. Human emotion is not unbiased. I understand that the expectation is that the jury is unbiased, but that's very difficult when you see a video like that. It goes massively viral. It's a celebrity case. Another note from the jury today was a specific request for transcripts relating to Cassie's testimony, where she talked about an argument that they had back in 2013 in Cannes. Then they also wanted the testimony from her recollection of that Intercontinental Hotel incident where Diddy was caught on that security footage beating her. They also requested transcripts from testimonies about freak-offs and then other fights between Cassie and Diddy over the years. And as of a few minutes before this show, the jury had reached a verdict on 4 out of the 5 counts. They reached a verdict on the sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, and transportation to engage in prostitution, 2 counts of each. However, they are still deadlocked on the racketeering conspiracy charge. If found guilty, Diddy will go to jail for 15 years with a maximum sentence of life in prison. Now, I don't know what the verdicts are. That hasn't come out yet. And I don't know if they're going to have to go back and deliberate on this racketeering charge tomorrow, or if they're doing it tonight. Don't know. Something tells me that Diddy is just going to get off because that's the way things work, unfortunately. I feel like if they don't, and they threw out some of these charges or details of these charges, like they threw out everything related to the alleged arson at Kid Cudi's house, the alleged break-in at Kid Cudi's house. They didn't have enough evidence to prove that Diddy did all of that, despite testimony from his ex-assistant and Kid Cudi himself. So, when they drop things like that, when, Kid Cudi has photos of his car burnt and his assistant literally says, Diddy held a gun to my head and we went to Kid Cudi's house and broke in. Again, if they don't have the evidence for things like that, I don't know if they're going to have enough to get him on the other charges or the other counts. So I'm holding out hope that justice is served for people that Diddy did wrong, but not holding my breath. My new favorite bit, by the way, is calling out the mainstream media for their coverage of illegal aliens. I did this yesterday. I'm going to do it again because, as always, they bury the lead and they paint these freaks of natures as upstanding citizens, which they are not. So you know the drill. It's the entirety of, the mainstream media calling Kilmar Abrego Garcia, Maryland dad. This is what they do. So here's the latest from the New York Times. I saw this today. Had to get into it. Teen allegedly killed by soccer coach died of acute alcohol poisoning, family's attorney says. Okay. Teen allegedly killed by soccer coach. What they failed to mention is that this youth soccer coach is an illegal alien and an alleged pedophile. So again, they just bury the lead. He's just a soccer coach until you read further in the article and then you realize that he's this disgusting monster. So I love how they do this. So this teenager, it's a very sad story, but he took a train to go visit his soccer coach and then never came home. His family reported him missing, and then unfortunately, LAPD homicide detectives found him in a ditch on the side of the road. Very, very sad. This was in early April, and they're looking into this. And of course, this soccer coach, they find that there were plenty of allegations, multiple different allegations of childhood sexual assault. But because he was never charged because children didn't want to testify against him. Understood. But the LA Times calling him youth soccer coach in the headline, it's insane. It's totally insane. Let's not sugarcoat who this monster is. I've worked in media my entire career. I totally get that you want to have clickbait headlines so that people read your articles. But in this case, coming straight out the gate with the truth would have been a more grabby headline than soccer coach. But of course, that doesn't fit the LA Times narrative. The LA Times doesn't want to get caught speaking about illegals in a bad light, so they just diminish how disgustingly violent this man really is. And then they save the gruesome details for deeper in the article, and they hope that you don't read it. They hope that you don't get that far. It's totally insane. No surprise this takes place in California. And, they've welcomed in millions of illegals, offering them free health care. Gavin Newsom would sooner tank his own state and watch it burn to the ground than admit anything President Trump has done is successful, which is why his office is referring to Marines stated at the southern border as a mission creep. Marines are stationed on the California border. Newsom's office calls it mission creep. So Camp Pendleton Marines have been deployed in San Diego County, and Governor Gavin Newsom's office wrote this. Stephen Miller's quotas are pulling Border Patrol agents hundreds of miles away from the southern border, resulting in terrifying encounters captured on video. Now it appears Marines are being forced to backfill those border slots. This is not just mission creep. It is putting law enforcement, our soldiers, and the community in danger. Well, border crossings are down, so obviously what they're doing is working. It's very difficult to argue that the presence of more cops and more agents is making LA less safe and California less safe and the border less secure. They also mentioned in the statement that the presence of law enforcement is putting law enforcement in danger. What? Why is that? Because gender fluid baristas are throwing bricks at them? That's not the fault of law enforcement. So Gavin Newsom calling it mission creep, insinuating that they have nefarious intentions beyond their military capacity, or that maybe this presence will lead to something else. There is nothing abnormal, by the way, about our military securing our border. And Gavin Newsom should be thankful that President Trump is cleaning up his mess. A stark contrast to what is happening in Florida. Alligator Alcatraz open for business today. President Trump arriving on site earlier this morning was greeted by Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. Now, like I said in my intro, this initiative was announced just a little over a week ago, 8 days ago, and it's already up and running. And like I said, this is the real Operation Warp Speed. Republican governors, they move quick. So you're watching this now. This is the inside of the detention center. You see, originally it was reported there was going to be 1,000 beds. Apparently there are 3,000 beds. And the whole point of placing this detention center in the Everglades is to, of course, deter escapees. I love to see it. And I'm going to bring in my guest in just a moment to talk about this and so much more right after I tell you about our sponsor for today's show, Patriot Mobile. Together we have fought for the same thing, faith, freedom, and the country we love. And one of our biggest sponsors over the years is Patriot Mobile. If you're part of the Bongino Army, if you scroll with the homies, you should be on Patriot Mobile. Our candidate may have won, but this is no time to rest. We must Keep supporting companies that share our values and stand for what we believe in. Switch to Patriot Mobile with confidence, knowing you will get outstanding nationwide coverage because they operate on all 3 major networks. You can even have 2 numbers on 2 different networks on one single smartphone. And not only do you have the Silver Lock guarantee, you will get the Patriot Mobile coverage guarantee. Every dollar you spend supports a company that believes in our First and Second Amendment rights, the sanctity of life, our veterans and first responders. Switching is easy. It only takes minutes. Keep your number, keep your phone, or you can upgrade. Their 100% US-based team will take great care of you. Go to patriotmobile.com/scroll or call 972-PATRIOT. Get a free month of service on sign up with code SCROLL. That is 972-PATRIOT. Use code SCROLL at patriotmobile.com. Get it now. And now I'm very excited to welcome in my guest, a comedian, host of the Bobby Sauce Show, Bobby Sauce. Thank you so much for joining me.
My pleasure.
Awesome. I want to get into your take first and foremost on Alligator Alcatraz. Where are you based, by the way?
South Florida.
Okay.
East South Florida, yeah.
Okay, same. So let's get into this. What are you feeling about these Everglades protesters?
I think that a lot of good things happen in Florida, generally speaking. And because we have such a good governor, the place is very free and very safe and very protected. And I think that he stands up for us in so many different ways. So this falls right in line with that. If it keeps tax-paying citizens and otherwise law-abiding citizens safe and protected, isn't that a good thing? We wouldn't have to take these protective measures if the bag of meat and his demon sidekick didn't let all these people jump the border over the last 4 years. So this is kind of the byproduct of the thing that they created.
Bag of meat is generous. I don't think there was a lot going on up in that brain of Joe Biden's, but the Democrats campaigned on calling Republicans weird, and I feel like Alligator Alcatraz is pretty badass.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. I mean, it's like if there's a natural barrier that prevents people from escaping and being reinserted back into the otherwise peaceful and law-abiding population, how could that be a bad thing? If anything, those create a natural barrier that would reduce those costs. You would probably have to put a higher wall or more secure measures or whatever to put it in an urban core. So this is a protective financial measure as well as just generally a good one. Don't you want them out in the Everglades where nobody is at instead of in a downtown city or something like that? I've seen helicopters flying around here before when people escape, and it's like, is that fair to the people that have some dude jump over their fence? Of course not. So I think it's a great thing. I'm all for it. I think almost everything that DeSantis does, I agree with.
Yeah, and to your point about this being a sound financial decision, Trump joked earlier that you don't need to pay the alligators. So it's free labor. It's basically like you don't need to pay the bodyguards. They're just there. They're free. And one of the reporters asked Trump, can you replicate this elsewhere? And that's why he said, well, it's pretty unique in the Everglades because you don't have to pay these guys. They're just there. You've got the snakes, alligators, whatever else is in there. So they might have to figure out some new marketing tactics in other places of the country. Maybe like they've got to do this in Arizona, New Mexico, some of these other border states over there, like Scorpion Slammer in Arizona. They just got to like round up, the most dangerous animals and beings in each state and just replicate this. That'd be pretty cool.
Well, it's funny because it's like one of the things that the left is so good at is wordplay and branding. And so Alligator Alcatraz has alliteration. People can imagine it in their mind. It's an easy thing for us to talk about, even here on the show. It's memorable. Mm-hmm. And if it were not branded in such a way, would people even care or realize it? Because there's likely many facilities around the country that are like this. I know like out in the desert in Arizona and so forth, there's places that are very similar to this and just as not ideal for a person to be in. So it's like, I wish the right was a little bit better at branding things that are actually good as opposed to things that they can market as bad.
Yeah, they just need to do a little rebranding on all of these. But of course, all of these ICE deportations and whatnot is prompting protests all over the country. And it started in LA with the No Kings protest. And now more No Kings protests are lined up for the 4th of July. Not only is this so stupid because we don't have a king, but we saw how it went down the first time. Why are they trying this again?
I mean, the answer to almost any and every question as to why things happen is because there's something to be gained. It's like solving a murder. It's like, who is setting to benefit as a result of there being this situation? It's like, well, you can pin anybody that goes against it, even when they're defending against violence, for example, as being racist or misogynist or anti-freedom or whatever is the case. And then on top of that, all of the groups that advocate and finance these protests, all of them are seeing to benefit as a result of leftist policies, giving out money for, insert this handout, insert this type of handout. It could be for some environmental cause or for some homeless shelter building or for some green supposed initiative that just becomes like a money vacuum. It's like, if you look at the No Kings protest, this is not an organic uprising. This is a branded, marketed, highly produced and very expensive campaign that has a website and a logo and branding, all done by professionals. And then you literally see all the logos of the hundreds of institutions that are orchestrated with it. Who is being financed to contact those organizations, gain the resources from those organizations, put those logos up? All of that stuff takes time and resources, and all those people have to be paid. It's like these people are just doing it out of the good of their heart. So it's like, do you think you're really fighting against the power and the corporations when you're literally protesting
taking money from them?
Yeah, in a financed protest. Like it couldn't be
stupid.
further from an uprising. It couldn't be further from organic.
Yeah, and then to your point about all the people organizing the protest being paid, the protesters themselves are being paid. And not only that, I mean, I found you on TikTok, and so you're obviously aware of Alex Earl and some of these influencers they have massive influence, massive platforms. Then they just get bullied in their comment section until they make a statement or until they post, hey, you can donate here. Here are resources to donate to whatever the hell. And, these girls, like, I'm just going to use Alex Earl as an example. She went to University of Miami. God bless her. Graduated. She does a lot for her community, but the girl got famous because she's a party girl and she does her makeup in her bedroom before going out with her friends. Why are there liberals hounding her to make statements on politics, foreign policy, Israel, all these things? It's like, this girl, why do we think she knows anything about anything?
That's the point, is that she doesn't. Because all of these, again, it's like all the way back to the beginning. It's like the simplest answer is usually the one that's true. It's like there are advertising agencies and talent agencies that represent any multitude of corporations. All of those corporations are all intertwined with each other, from their stock positions to their financiers to whoever is the backing behind them. And use State Street, BlackRock, or whatever other corporation. They all have their hands in all of these respective cookie jars. So it's like, if you are represented by, let's say, CAA or some other major talent agency, the talent agency says, they get an advertisement from Toyota and Bank of America and whatever other corporation, and they say, if you do not convince any multitude of these people to take these advertisements that boost all of our respective corporations, we'll just give you no deals at all. And then CAA or whatever other talent organization passes that information down to the artists or the creatives, much like they would have done 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago with musicians. It's like,
right.
Do you want to be rich and famous? Well, if you do, then you will say this. It's like, does anybody out there think that like Emily Ratajkowski knows anything about Democratic summer? Or is it just like, here's my bags, here's my butt, and like I'm hot maybe, or I once was, and like maybe look at me? Like, these people, they don't even care. The only thing they care about is maintaining their existing cash flows and staying relevant. And I would wager that the majority of them are being threatened with the rug pull of existing cash flows.
Right.
And that's why they do it. They just don't want to lose money. And they probably don't know any better and don't care anyways. And they know that their audience doesn't either.
Yeah, and Emily Ratajkowski, she's a model, she's an actress, and she's just gorgeous. And that's what she's known for. And people follow her because she's gorgeous. But then in 2025, it's not enough to just be a model. It's not enough to just be an influencer. Now you also need to be this mouthpiece. And I think a lot of them, they don't want this. But to your point, they want to just not get canceled so that they can keep making money and keep having this platform. But Emily Ratajkowski sitting in bed, laying in bed saying it's Democrat socialist summer. All of these influencers make money because of capitalism. And then they're paid to push socialism. It's like, what is happening?
Well, I think that the reality of it is a supermodel and or a model is much like a professional athlete, which is like your prominence and your ability to excel at the highest level of your talent has an expiration date. And unless you're Giselle Bundchen or whatever, there's another 21-year-old girl that is willing to get naked and be hot that's coming up behind you. And Emily Ratajkowski is in her mid-30s. I don't know what the life cycle is for a model to be relevant or objectively beautiful for such and such a campaign, because a lot of these campaigns are tailoring to women that are 20. Does a 21-year-old girl want to see a woman that's 35, or does she want to see someone that like Alex Earl that's 23 and hot with her boyfriend that's a football player that's doing all of these things that a 35-year-old with a kid probably wouldn't do? So it's like her star, for lack of a better word, is decreasing in value. And the only way to remain relevant with a decreasing asset is to start dabbling in places that you don't understand as a way of grabbing and garnering attention so that you can still maintain those cash flows. Because I bet you that they would propose something to her and be like, well, listen, you're 35, you're still hot, but I don't know if you'll be in this high demand right now. We got a 23-year-old that's willing to post about Democratic Socialist Summer. So do you want to post it and get paid, or do you want to just, show your bags on Instagram for free? Maybe you should just take this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and then they do. And you know what's sad? It's, most people most creatives, most people in Hollywood, models, whatever, they're very liberal. For whatever reason, maybe they're getting their liberal bag, or maybe they don't know any better, whatever. But they hate this country so much. Yeah. And I need to know why they hate this country so much, because so much of all the benefits that they have, that they're so lucky to have, are because of capitalism and because of the freedom that we have in this country. Are they just too sheltered to know how good they have it, or are they too sheltered to know that it's way worse other places? Is it white guilt? Like, what is it?
I think it's a combination of two things. I think thing number one is that, generally speaking, human beings naturally are tribal inherently. And if you are a person whose financial backing or whose finances depend on attention, then you have to go where the perceived attention is, no matter what. So it's like, if right-wing politics, if republicanism, if Americana was perceived to be the most valuable and the most popular, and there was the most financial opportunities in that realm, I would wager that they would turn on a dime and wave an American flag just the same. I think that a lot of the times, again, it's like, they don't care about anything. It's kind of like, do you sign the deal with the devil? It's like, what is the deal with the devil? It's like, will you sell your soul for wealth and fame? And it's like, I would wager that a lot of these people were willing to do that. Mm-hmm. So do they care about the country, or do they care about where their perceived attention lies and thus the finances follow? So I would wager that that's the one piece. Piece number two is, in the event that you can't capture them based on that alone, how else would you do it? You would do it through perceived emotional manipulation to make you appear empathetic and or kind and or loving and or open. So it's like, I accept trans people because everybody deserves to be treated with equality. We all agree with that. If you want to be 33 and trans, none of us really care about that. But when you want to say that a 14-year-old needs to take a cocktail of pills for the remainder of their life and mutilate their body parts, like, these things are not together. But when they are sold on that empathy, they casually leave out the key component that is the part that all of us care about. We care about you competing in college sports and taking opportunities away from women. We care about you making women unsafe in the workplace or in sports or in a locker room, for example, where your daughter, sister, mother could potentially be. And we care about you doing it to kids. If you want to be 40 years old and do it in the privacy of your own home, or like lurch around at Disneyland and be a freakazoid, yeah, go ahead and do that. Nobody cares about that. But they lump them all together to emotionally manipulate not only them, but the audience that doesn't know the full story of what happens as a result of those policies.
Yeah, and of course, everyone's freaking out now. President Trump's in office, so everyone claims that LGBTQ rights are being threatened when really they're just protecting women. But everyone on the left and even people on the right are all freaking out today because the one big beautiful bill passed in the Senate. Vice President Vance broke the tie. It was a 50-51 vote. And now it goes back to the House. This will codify Trump's tax cuts, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, if all goes well. And it's funding the deportation efforts. I think ICE and all DHS, they had $2 million, and now they're going to have $45 million in this budget. So this is a big, beautiful legislative win for President Trump, and should it get passed. But as always, haters mad. So what say you? Is this a win, or is it a spending disaster, or a little bit of both?
I would say that it's a little bit of both. In the same way that, like, look, people freak out because they think that the world is black and white, and politics most definitely is not. It's like, did you know that you can like Trump, think he's the best person to run the country, generally speaking, but also think that half the things that he says about Taylor Swift or insert this person here are stupid, childish, and not something that I feel good sitting behind? Did you know that you can like Trump and believe that he was the best candidate for the job, while also liking Thomas Massie and believing that he's one of the most principled, if not the most principled member of Congress, and what he says is valid? It's like, did you know that these two things could exist simultaneously? So does the bill do a lot of things that are great? Absolutely. Does it have a lot of unnecessary pork spending? Highly probable. Is Washington a lot of WWE BS and a lot of showmanship? Yeah, absolutely. So it's like, is it generally good? Well, at least it's on our side. I'll say that. Does it have a lot of things that are good in it? Yes, absolutely. But I would imagine that it was probably improbable or unlikely that it would have passed without all of the pork in there, because that's just what the government does. So I'd say it's a dub. But I think to pretend that if you say it does this for spending, or that it squanders money here or there, that you're some type of Donnie hater or some type of turncoat, or like you're not real MAGA, I think that's clown behavior. And I think that people need to realize that things can be true at the same time. And if you just come at everybody, or if you're like Cat Turd on X, who just like flips out and will do anything and lick Donnie's boots no matter what he does, it's like, you're not helping anything. We're supposed to be talking about this. We're supposed to be intelligent. We're supposed to be chopping this up.
Yeah,
but it's 100%. Like, oh, you're not MAGA now. It's like, yeah, what are you talking about?
It's like, bro, I'm MAGA. I'm just worried about, two things at the same time. Like you were saying, one person who can't seem to figure this out is Elon Musk, because the big, beautiful bill is what all of this beef stemmed from. So earlier today, a reporter asked President Trump about the big, beautiful bill and whether or not he would consider deporting Elon Musk. So let's watch this video really quick.
Oh, man.
Video 7.
I don't know. I think we'll have to take a look. We might have to put Doge on Elon. You know what Doge is? Doge is the monster that might have to go back and eat Elon. Wouldn't that be terrible? He gets a lot of subsidies, Peter. But Elon's very upset that the EV mandate is going to be terminated. And you know what? When you look at it, not everybody wants an electric car. I don't want an electric car. I want to have maybe gasoline, maybe electric, maybe a hybrid, maybe someday a hydrogen. If you have a hydrogen car, it has one problem. It blows up, So I'm going to give that one to Peter. I'm going to let Peter test it out.
What say you?
Well, again, I think that multiple things can be true at the same time, where it's like, did Elon act childish and sloppy in the way that he approached the situation that was there? Yeah. Does Trump do the same thing? Does he act childish and say stupid things? Yes, absolutely. And like the thought that it's like, oh, we're going to potentially deport Elon Musk. It's like, dude, this is the type of person that we want in the country. This person is a titan of business that's generated a tremendous amount of money, not only for individual stockholders, but pension funds. This is one of the largest companies in America. It's like, how could we look at a titan of industry that's one of the few people that's building manufacturing plants to manufacture in America and be like, yeah, he should go. And then on top of all that, it's like, oh, Elon gets all these subsidies. Okay, well, subsidies and things that he gets for the space program, for example, it's like if you give Elon 60 million, but it would have cost NASA 195 million or whatever is the case, it's like, is that a subsidy or are we not saving money? So I just
Right.
hate this. I hate this like childish lumping of all things together and like just being like this person bad, this person good based on the whim of the day. I think that they should both coexist. And this type of like childish, like public fighting is just a waste of time. And none of these things are America first. Are not American citizen. It's like I keep thinking about this stuff and it's like, I thought we were doing America. And here we are talking about insert country that can't be named, deporting Elon Musk or all this other stuff. It's like none of this stuff solves the things that we thought we were going to be voting for. So I just feel like the distraction is frustrating because it's like there's a very limited window of time between now and the midterms. And if people think that we're going to come around the midterms and just win in some landslide, I think you haven't been paying attention to history. So the limited window of time may be dwindling. And to spend time talking about some stupid stuff like this, to me, is just a waste of the momentum.
Totally. And we need Elon Musk on our side going into these midterms because he's already donating to Thomas Massey's campaign. And he is going to be very influential. And we might as well have him on Team Trump and Team MAGA rather than, he says that he wants to create a third political party, which has been done and tried before. It never works. So, I like Elon Musk. I like everything that he's done, Twitter 2.0, thank goodness. Everything that he's done with Doge, thank goodness. SpaceX, he brought home those astronauts when NASA wouldn't. And, so again, he's done great things. Where I have an issue is when he calls President Trump essentially a pedophile with no evidence. And to me, if a friend of mine said that about me, there would be no coming back. Even if they team up again, their relationship will not be as strong as it was. And I think that's an issue. Do you think Elon Musk, since he's been talking about this, creating a third political party, do you think he'll run himself in 2028?
Well, he can't run. He wasn't born in America.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so he can't
Duh.
run. So that's out. But this is the other thing too. It's like this is where I feel like the well is kind of poisoned, even for like issues like this. It's like, hey, we should all be able to talk about this in an open forum. That would be a healthy debate for people to have. And Elon, whether we like it or not, and Trump for that matter, these people are responsible or are responsive to the pulse of the people. Elon responds to when people are talking about him on X and adjusts him, and even Donnie will respond. And that reactiveness shows the true power of the people that have voices on the internet, let's just say. So the thing that bothers me the most is that the social media and the supposed independent media class is now a lobbied arm of the federal government. And if you have a big influencer account, be like, isn't Elon the best? Elon is the best. Donnie says Elon the best. I love Elon. And then 5 seconds later, Donnie's like, Elon is bad now. And they're like, Elon is a bootlegger. I never liked him from the start. And meanwhile, they're getting paid to say that on top of it. Not only are they getting paid via access to the administration, access to the parties and the galas, but they're also getting physically, transactionally paid for it as well. And it gets astroturfed by all this money that covers the independent media. It's like, you're going to lead me to believe that Donnie endorsed Thomas Massey, written endorsement. I think he's a great American person. Now he doesn't like him. And then all of a sudden all these social media influencers come out in tandem and just wipe over everything and be like, oh, he's bad now. It's like, you guys aren't authentic anymore. The independent media is like the sub 1,400,000 less people that aren't getting paid, that their audience actually trusts them. But these multi-million user accounts, they're like literally getting paid to astroturf the audience.
Controlled by. So, I mean, you have a massive following. Have you ever been reached out to by campaigns or anything like that? Do you know other influencers who have?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's scary.
I can't.
Now, I know you're not going to like name drop, and I get it, but.
No, but they do, and they do it. They'll do it like indirectly. It's like from some PAC or from, and look, this is not to say that person doesn't already believe it.
Right.
Like, for example, like if you're a pro Donnie Hardo and you're like, Donnie is the best no matter what. It's like, it's not that much of a stretch for you to take X dollars to say Thomas Massey sucks now. But it's just like, okay, but then like, what about the people that aren't? What about the people that are taking that money? And not only that, it's like, it's not disclosed.
Right.
And so it's like, we don't even know. So I guess my point is like, this is one of my main frustrations is it's like you can't like these two people at the same time because it limits your access and or limits your cash flow from the respective camps that want that camp to be smeared right now. It's like, I like Trump and Thomas Massey. I like both of them. So it's like, you could never pay me to smear Thomas Massey.
Right.
Now, would these people smear him anyways? Maybe, but would they go nearly as hard? I don't know. Would they go nearly as hard on command, like press button, Thomas Massey bad now? So I just feel like that is kind of like the hidden poison in the independent journalism movement that frustrates me, and that people do that and are just like, yep, that's fine. And people think it's independent. That's just something that has been bothering me a lot lately.
Yeah, totally. There are definitely shortfalls with the new media. One of my issues with new media, and I want to get to the Zoran Mamdani of it all in a moment, but one of my issues with the new media is it feels very much like old media. And they're really, people move to new media because journalism was dead. But is journalism alive if you're just listening to people that you agree with? That's just like the same as people watching MSNBC versus Fox. It's the same thing. People have just found their silos of people that they like listening to. And, I appreciate everyone who watches this show, and I love new media. I follow all these influencers and I listen to their podcasts. I love it. I think new media is great. And I love that this administration is taking a new path forward and bringing new media along with them in, the name of transparency, hopefully. And I think that that's a move in the right direction. But yeah, I think there are issues that persist, and I think it's just media and news, and people want to make money. And anyway, I want to get to the New York City of it all, because there's a lot to get to with Zoran Mamdani. I guess that's how you pronounce his name. Born with a silver spoon in his mouth, but eating with his hands. So let's watch this video.
So the third holy grail of taboos in American politics, you have socialism, you have Islam, and then you have Palestine. And you are really going for the trifecta.
Let's go, baby.
Let's go. Tell me, why is Palestine a part of your politics?
When you grow up as someone, especially in the third world, you have a very different understanding of the Palestinian struggle.
He's a total fraud. First of all, is that a Chipotle bowl? Like, I know that they gave you a plastic fork with that.
Yeah, that was like, I made my video about this last night, and it's like he got a fork. Like he's in New York City. There's an ample amount of forks. So this was performative, and one of the things I said in the video is it's like, do you think this guy goes to his apartment in Astoria, Queens, and takes an elevator upstairs to his air-conditioned apartment and eats his slop with his hand? It's like, this dude is using a fork. And I found another picture online of him eating a burrito with a fork, which is like the most laughable actual handheld item. So it's completely BS. And he says the third world like he grew up in Mumbai. Like, this dude came to the United States, to New York, when he was 7 years old. It's like you were eating applesauce and chicken nuggets when you were 7 years old.
Yeah.
This dude is not from the third world. He lives in New York. He lives in Astoria. He lives in Queens.
Right, of course.
Queens is a nice place.
He was born in Uganda, so this is where he gets to, that's his calling card now. He gets to say that. And, then he went to one of the nicest private schools, the George School, I think it was called, in Cape Town, South Africa, moved to, the Upper West Side in New York City. Like, this is not someone who knows the third world very well. I mean, it's just totally insane. So now there are so many insane policies that we can get into, but he wants to tax white neighborhoods, which is hilarious because, as you know, once you're on the internet and you're an open conservative on the internet, people call you racist at a drop of a hat.
Yeah.
And these people who are so quick to call us racist champion the most racist policies I've ever heard of in my life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it's like because the only instrument in the argument arsenal of a soggy brain, as I refer to them as, is to just like go to racism. It's like, well, you're racist. Like I made the video about him eating the slop with his hands, and they're just like, oh, just say you're racist and you hate these people, and it's like, bro, This guy's been living here for 26 years. If you want to pretend like this dude doesn't eat food with a fork, you're out of your gourd, dude. And it's like, he is performing. This is a performance that has nothing to do with race. And if you want to say like, oh, all people that fit into this category are from Uganda, they all eat food with their hands. Okay, well, you're a representative of large groups of people in the United States of America in a place that has forks. If you want to say that it's his religious belief that he eats his jasmine rice and slop with his hand, fine. But I don't think that's what they're contending. And then why are there other pictures of him eating a burrito with a fork? So it's like, it's just complete BS, but that's the only thing that they got. Like I've been referring to him as Zogbad Salami because I don't care about saying his name. And they're like, just say you're a racist. I'm like, salami is like an Italian cured meat. It's just because I don't want to say his name because I don't care. Because anybody that's going to pretend that they eat slop rice with their hand shovel, I'm not going to give them the respect. Like you say that like white people are bad, we're going to tax them, and like I'm from the third world when you live in Astoria. Shut up, dude. Like I hate you, bro.
Yeah,
so I'm not going to call you.
Anything
pronounce
you
your
say.
name.
Yeah, no, totally.
You're salami.
Do we think that he eats pizza with his hands or with a fork?
Yeah, right. Yeah. He probably eats it with his toes because that's what they do in the third world or wherever he's from. Somebody actually said that to me. They're like, don't y'all eat pizza with your hands and tacos? And I'm like, yeah, I don't eat like tiny shards of pizza that I have to like scoop up in my hand, you idiot. Like there's like a handle on the pizza. It's like, these are not comparable.
It's meant for your hands.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So he's not the only socialist in New York who wants to pretend like he grew up in this, third world situation.
Yep.
AOC, she wants to have this tough Bronx girl attitude. So if we could pull up her post on X, guys, I want to see this. AOC, if you're a Bronx girl, then why are you in my Yorktown yearbook? Give it up already. And then you can see her in the picture there, Alexandria Cortez. And there she is. And, unfortunately for AOC, Yorktown is extremely affluent. The average income, medium income, is over $100,000, which is way higher than the rest of New York State. So she can't really claim this, but she's trying.
Yeah, well, she's doing the same thing that that future Mayor Salami is doing, and pretending that he's from Uganda or whatever, that he's from the third world. It's like, you were in the Bronx until you were 5. It's like you were watching Dora the Explorer when you were 5.
Yeah.
Like you didn't know what was going on. Like that's like it's what's actually kind of funny. Like thinking back to Mayor Salami, it's like I wouldn't be surprised if he was born like in the Uganda airport, like while his parents were traveling on some. You know what I mean? He's like, I'm from yeah, it's like
on their private jet.
Yeah, they had like a layover in Uganda, and he's like, I'm from Uganda. I'm a Uganda boy. It's like, are you though, dude? It all comes back to the same place, which is like, if the people that you are appealing to don't pay enough attention for it to bother them, or they don't care because you are perceived as empathetic and loving, then you could just lie straight to their face. And like, and to be fair, lots of people on the right lie too. And there's a lot of people that are just like, Donnie good. Like anything Donnie says, they're just like, this is definitely good because Donald J. Trump said it and he was sent by God. It's like, there's equal amount of factions on both sides. But I do think that they are way more egregious and performative. And when you say the truth about the thing, their response is, well, that's because you're a racist. Mm-hmm. Where that definition doesn't really apply so much for people on the right to combat the same thing.
Totally. All right. I have a segment called Scrolling Time, and I want to get into it. I was going to cover these dating videos and stuff by myself yesterday, but now that I have a male perspective, we've got to get into it. So let's hit Scrolling Time. All right. This first one is it falls in line with this Zohran Mamdani conversation, because did you see this canceled date in New York City? Let's pull this up, guys, if you have it. But this guy, he goes by Murray Hill Guy online, and he posted he went on a date with this girl, or he was going to go on a date with this girl.
Oh, yeah.
And she said, hey, before we go on this date, I just want to confirm that we're on the same page. Did you vote for Zohran for mayor? I'm really excited he won, and then just replied to her text with, of course, a canceled reservation. He was not going to go on the date. So this is Murray Hill guy, all the credit to him. But this is a perfect response. No words needed, no time wasted, just no thank you.
Yeah. I respect it. And I mean, look, and like people, and like I imagine like your average run of the mill soggy brain leftoid would look at this as being like offensive or mean or whatever. But it's just like, didn't the guy actually do you a disservice? It's like you guys are going to be so diametrically opposed about your viewpoints of the world. This means you can't really successfully probably have kids together. You can't understand how to properly educate that kid and raise them. You're not going to look at the world the same. So it's like, isn't he kind of doing a favor for both of you? You know, it's like, don't we think that not wasting time is a good thing? So I think it's based. It gets a 10 out of 10 for me. Me
too. And so this next one, I don't know what your relationship status is, but unfortunately I'm single and it's hell. It's a hellscape. But here is, if we could pull up this guy's dating app profile, someone on X screenshotted this, and it's just it's a liberal. He looks like a liberal. He's got all the things in his profile that he's into, you know, ACAB, Black Lives Matter, he's white, but Black Lives Matter. And then he's got, BDSM, and he's got all these things. Do we have this number 11? It's coming up. So we'll take a look at this. We'll go through this, but it's something. Look no further, ladies. Your ideal man has been found. I don't even need to read the profile. I can just tell from the photo that this is not going to be my future husband. But if we can click on that left side so we can read some of the BS that he has going on here. But he's anti-fascist, pro crunchberries. I don't think I want to know what that means. Do we know what that means? Should I Google it?
I would assume that it probably means the cereal. Like probably means like he's probably like trying to make he's trying to make a joke that I don't know.
It's weed.
Oh.
I knew that this was something that I wasn't going to be privy to.
Oh, okay.
Crunch
Look at that juiced as fuck. Dude, I love it.
Yeah, so RACK, I don't know what this, excuse me if this is inappropriate online meaning.
RACK?
Risk-aware consensual kink. That's what that means.
Oh my God. That means he likes to get pegged probably.
Probably. So
pegged with a safe word. The safe word is fascism.
GGG. I don't think I want to know what that means either. No. Good giving and game. Whatever. Yikes. They've got an acronym for everything. He says dissent in the streets, consent in the sheets. Again, very into consent, which I can, he, him, his, vaccinated as fuck, it says. Which should be a massive turn off for me. Because who knows how many vaccines he's gotten? Who knows how many he's lined up for? What does that do to the liberal psyche? I don't know, but I don't want to find out.
I think it makes you dry like the Sahara for like most average normal human female persons. But the thing that I think is so funny about this is it's just like this is. Even if you want to be a person that appeals to people that are on the left, it's like none of those things are appealing in a partner. It's like get ready to overshare about mental health. So that means you're not mentally healthy. Like right. you could like leftist ideals and you could believe that vaccination is cool, for example, or that is brave. But to sell it in such a way leads me to believe that you don't even have a figment of an understanding of the female mind. And like, I will say that the leftist female mind is certainly not something that I study because I couldn't want to be further away from it. But it's like, what female is actually interested in that? I get if they agree with those political ideals, but at what point in that are they like, this guy is going to be like mentally sound and like, he's going to treat me like my dad would want me to be treated, right. Or is it just like I hate my dad? Like I want some guy that wants to get pegged and tell me how he's mentally unhealthy.
Right? Yeah, it doesn't sound like my dream date. Certainly not. I want to show you this video. This is a girl who lives in Chicago. I think she goes in between Chicago and New York, and she's desperately trying to find a liberal boyfriend. I don't know why she can't find one in those liberal hubs, but here we go. Here's number 14, guys.
I don't think there's anything harder than finding a liberal boyfriend. Where is he? Where is he? Who of my people? Are you guys having liberal boyfriends? Who has a liberal boyfriend? Raise your hand. Where'd you find him? It's such a problem for me. It really is. It really is a problem. And if you don't understand why it's a problem, then you just don't get it. Not even a liberal, like maybe like a Democrat, like a registered Democrat. I just want to find a dude that voted for Kamala Harris. I'm really struggling. I know 70 million people voted for her, so there's got to be one that is attractive and my type and in the general vicinity of me.
So just an update here, because people in the comments, other liberal women were trying to help her. You know, they understand her plight of not finding a liberal man. I think it's probably because they're dating other men, but that's neither here nor there. But a lot of these women were saying, okay, well, go on your dating app and say that you don't want conservatives, you don't want moderates, just filter out like all the things that you don't want. She posted an update video saying that she can't find anyone, which I just think is hilarious. But why do you think liberal women, they want liberal men, but then they also, you know, they hate men, but they love men? How do they do these mental gymnastics?
Yeah, I think that this is generally a problem when it comes to like the leftist mindset. Mostly. I don't want to say that every person that's a Democrat or that agrees with leftist policies is inherently bad or stupid or fall in these categories. I don't like the blanket representation of them, because I know people that are left that are smart and intelligent and caring, and we just disagree on how to get to this, to I would say kind of the same place. So I just think that, like, generally speaking, you're not going to find anybody on either side of the aisle by making content like that. Because as a man in the marketplace, no guy, I don't care what your political affiliation is, having a girl complain that she can't find a boyfriend leads you to believe that in the event that you show up, that they'll be so happy to have a boyfriend that you will simply suffice, which means that you're not truly desired. You're not truly someone that captivates their attention. So if I was ever going to date a girl that looked on either side of the aisle, if I ever found a video like this about how they're so desperate to find a boyfriend, that would be a red flag enough for me to go away. So I just think that this content in general, it's like you're taking an already dwindling pool of soy thems and soggies, and you're making it even smaller by broadcasting the fact that you'll do anything to just have someone. So It's like definitely not a good look. Yeah, definitely not a good look.
You know, I always say there's a seat for every butt, so hopefully she finds one. Bobby, thank you so much for being here. This was so much fun. Tell everyone where they can find you, follow you, all that.
Yeah, my pleasure. You can follow me by looking at all my social medias at followbobby.com. Take Naps on Instagram. Take Naps with 2 S's on TikTok. Just go to followbobby.com. All my links are there.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
It was fun. And thank you on that note, everyone, for watching this episode of Nightly Scroll. I hope you had as much fun as I did. More to come tomorrow, because there were so many things that I didn't get to that we're going to move over to tomorrow's show. If you want to watch the show, you got to do so on Rumble. Rumble.com/Haley is where you can watch Nightly Scroll. It's the only place you can watch Nightly Scroll. You can listen on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Make sure you're subscribed. Even if you don't listen, you can still go over there and subscribe and leave a 5-star review. Everything helps, so I appreciate it. Of course, you can follow me on social media at Haley Carania, and I'll see you right back here.